In this lesson, we're going to be rotating up the CAD geometry that we were looking at in the previous lesson and set up our scene so that we can start modeling some of the basic contextual geometry before we get to the actual facades. So the first thing we can do is we can make sure that all the layers are turned on, and we can go ahead and select all of the layers that make up the front elevations. Then what we want to do is make sure that our snap toggle is this last option, is a coordinate center, as well as turning on the snaps as well as the angles. Then you can right click here and you can choose your axis constraints toolbar. And then if you go across to your perspective view, I use the shortcut P for that, you can go ahead and select, I think it is X. Then by selecting rotate, you can use that snap on the bottom line, which is our 0 line, and you can go ahead and rotate the building up by 90 degrees and then just let go. So what that has done is we now have all of our elevations from 1 to 3 rotated up with this bottom line, which over here, if you have a look at the height, is 0, 0. And you want to make sure that your elevation is at the correct height in the Z direction, which it now is in, so that it isn't too high or too low relative to your plan. So you want to make sure that your plan is at 0, this is at 0, and everything aligns with each other. If I look at this section on the side, I will see it's written backwards, so we can look at it this way. It's at 30 meters, and that's this line. So what we can do, since it's right now sitting at 0, we can choose the Y constraint. We can rotate that up by 90 degrees as well. And now we can get rid of that. We don't need that toolbox anymore. Now we can select W so that we can move up. You can click select and move here if you like as well. And then just type in 30 meters. If you're using feet, then you need to do the equivalent in feet. I will use meters for my workflow. And now you've moved it up by 30 meters. So this line is currently at exactly 30 meters in your 3D Max scene. And that is very important, is to make sure that this lines up in height with your elevation and that everything basically will be in the correct position. So now our CAD file is aligned and in place, so we can start our modeling. So the first thing for the modeling we can do is we can set up a ground plane. So to do that, first of all, I want to make sure that I am creating new geometry on the correct layer. So you can go ahead and do 0, 1. We'll call that context. I'm going to start by creating a plane. And then I'm going to, you can actually use cubes for this. You can use boxes. So let's just go ahead and use the box tool. And we can extrude up a box on this building. And we can do the same thing here. Don't worry too much about the height. We're going to set that up once we are looking at our front elevation. And then for the rest, you can go ahead and do basic blocks for that too. I'm not going to worry too much about these corners. You can go and do it properly and diligently on your side if you like. I'm just going to do the really rough massing just because I want to show a sense of city scale behind. So once I have that, really what we're looking right now is your basic massing, and that's all really I want to do right now. So right now I'm going to select the front two buildings as well as this layer, which is the context, and we can look at it in our front viewport, and then you can use your height just to adjust the height. Again, I'm going to do it just by eye. That's probably 43. And this one, let's move it up to there. So again, if I press P, go back into perspective, you'll see that'll give you your front two facades for the context building. Right, so that is the pure basics for just the absolute rough context that we can then use as our base and then start carving out all of the details. In the next video, what we will do is we're going to have a look at how we can add detail to the streetscape just by doing the pavement edges, by doing the planters, and about how we can get the road markings to stand out on our model without really having to remodel them or retexture them. We will just use the CAD geometry, and all of that will be shown in the next lesson. So what we've done in this lesson, just to recap, is we've aligned and rotated our CAD geometry, and we've gone and modeled up the pure basics of what our context is going to be all about.